right, so let me introduce our speakers. I'm Jamie Miller. I'm going to be moderating this session, and I work at Freddie Mac in our securitization department, and I've been working on this project for the last 4 years, so it's exciting to get to this 90-day window. We've done a lot of work to get here. All right, so to my left, closest is Bruce Bracco. Bruce is a vice president in Freddie Mac's securitization department with management responsibility for all of our REMIC, credit risk transfer, and multifamily issuance activities. He's also part of the management team for the Single Security Initiative with responsibility for the resecuritization effort. Over the past decade, the Freddie Mac resecuritization programs have been the fixed income market's largest asset-backed securities issuance programs, with total issuance of over $1.1 trillion. And Bruce has been at Freddie for over 30 years, has done a lot with MBS, repo trading, and management of counterparty credit risk. To Bruce's left is Bob Maley, who is VP of Capital Markets, Structured Transactions at Fannie Mae. Bob oversees all aspects of issuing mortgage-related Fannie Mae structured products, including REMICs, strips, and mega securities. He's also responsible for overseeing internal and external customer relationships and the development of new structured products. Bob's been at Fannie Mae since 1997, and prior to that was a manager in the mortgage banking and securitization practice for KPMG. All right. So we've spent a lot of time over the last 4 years talking about UMBS and level 1 issuance and exchange, a little bit less time on supers and REMICs. So today we want to focus on that. We realize one of the key features of the single security program is the fact that you can commingle our securities and that they will be fungible with each other. I say that knowing that SIFMA's Good Delivery Guidelines vote is coming up quite soon, so we're expecting that to confirm that fungibility. But on the commingling side of things, we want to spend some time talking about our ability to mix collateral in our supers and REMICs. And I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to refer to these slides because I cannot see that confidence monitor. All right, so bear with me a moment. Okay. So the commingling feature is a really critical one for the single security program. We think this really opens up a lot of possibilities for investors. Within a supers or a REMIC, you can mix our TBA collateral in any combination you want. Obviously, you can still work with a single issuer to just have a Freddie or a Fannie supers or REMIC, but we think this expanded capability really opens up a lot of flexibility for investors to really tailor cash flows and manage their portfolios. One of the other things about supers and REMICs is you are always going to be looking to your top-level issuer to see who your guarantor is. So if you bring all your collateral to Freddie Mac will be your issuer. Likewise, with Fannie Mae would be your issuer if you bring your collateral to Fannie for a supers or a REMIC. One of the other things we think is important, as I mentioned, is portfolio limits. If you are approaching your name limits with a particular issuer, you can always bring your collateral to the other to rewrap it. So we think that will be a way to really refine this new market. Obviously, you can always look to the underlying issuers to look to see what the collateral is, and we also are expecting that vendors are going to be able to support those deep dives into what collateral underlies any particular security. So as you may know today, with giants and megas, you may have multiple wraps of those securities. With supers and REMICs, again, you'll be able to dive down and see all the layers of issuers and where that collateral is from. So what we want to spend a little time today doing is walking through the eligibility and delivery process for resecuritizations after we go live. So we'll look at what's eligible for supers and what can be commingled. The non-TBA market, so what's going to happen with giants and megas. What's eligible for REMICs, both TBA and non-TBA. How the process of delivering collateral is going to change in the future or not. So we'll talk about that. And then we need to spend a little time on 45-day collateral. Because Freddie Mac has an exchange process, we want to make sure you understand what the timing is going to be if you need to exchange your collateral before you bring it into a supers or a REMIC structure. So with that, I'm going to turn it over
to Bob. And our first slide here is really laying out, what collateral is eligible for supers and what can be combined. It's very straightforward. When we're talking about combining, commingling, we're talking about the CL, CT, CN, and CI. So when you take a look at this on the left, you can combine into a super security any of the legacy TBA eligible MBS, any new UMBS that's been issued by either agency, any new supers, and then any mirror securities that Freddie Mac has already converted. So that's what you can do. And again, an easy way to keep this straight in your head is that we're talking about the CL, CT, CN, and CI prefixes, as well as the reverse REMICs or the REMIC-back REMICs, which are the ZL, CT, ZT, ZI, and ZN. So if it's in those prefixes, you can commingle it with either agency in a super. What you can't do is on the right side, and that's the non-TBA eligible MBS and megas, the non-CL, CN, CT, and CI. You still need to bring that if it's a Fannie issued security to me, and we're going to issue a mega for you. And then on the opposite side with Freddie Mac, if you're doing the non-CL, CN, CT, and CI, you got to go to Bruce for a giant, as well as any 45 UMBS eligible securities that haven't been exchanged yet. So pretty straightforward. Keep it focused on the 4 major prefixes. You can come to either Bruce, either Freddie Mac, or myself, and we'll issue a super.
So you see on page 5, above is marked as today. You'll see how megas, giants, PCs, MBS flow through to the Fannie REMIC shelf or to our REMIC shelf. So in today's world, if you have a Fannie, you go to Bob. If you have a Freddie, you come to me. Going forward, when you get into UMBS and supers, that's where we can compete and we can take each other's collateral, so you're no longer tied to the issuer of the collateral. It's, as Bob said, it's tied to those 4 main prefixes. If you have a UMBS or a super in those prefixes, those will be eligible REMIC collateral for either party. If you go down below, again, we lay out the 4/8 prefixes. We will be offering exchange on all our fixed rate securities from 45 to 55. Anything that was TBA or is TBA in today's world would exchange into one of the 4 main prefixes. Those will then be considered UMBS and be eligible for either REMIC desk. For the bottom one, if you have 45-day that hasn't been exchanged, so it's still in 45-day form, but if exchanged, it could go into one of the 4 prefixes. That also is available to both REMIC desks. On the re-REMIC side, any 55-day that was 100% backed by those four prefixes is eligible to go to either REMIC desk. So anything that Bob has issued in the past that's 100% UMBS, anything that we begin to issue as of June that is 100% UMBS at issuance, those can go to either REMIC desk to be re-REMIC'd. In addition, any 45s, any REMICs that are 45-day that are backed by collateral that would have been eligible for exchange. Obviously, you can't exchange, and we won't be exchanging. We won't be having a REMIC or an offering for exchanging REMICs from 45 to 55, and you can't exchange backing REMIC collateral because it's tied in the REMIC. But we will look through to that and say, all right, if the collateral would have been exchangeable or exchange eligible into those 4 prefixes, those can go to either REMIC desk as well.
And I think that's important, Bruce, just to highlight, is that it has to be all the way through.
That's correct.
From the top REMIC security all the way down to the original MBS that was securitized.
So we'll be looking through all the levels. And we did emphasize at issuance. So we're going to be looking at the original collateral at every level rather. For the most part, if it was TBA, it's TBA all the way through, but we will be checking that. If it is TBA all the way through or UMBS, then it'd be eligible to go to either REMIC desk. Okay.
I think we're gonna do
First, Bruce.
I'm sorry?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. All right. So I'm sorry. On page 6, this is the non-UMBS. And here we tried to make an inclusive list of everything that will be still going issuer specific. So for us, it's our 55-day that are not in those 4 prefixes or the 8, including the Zs. But that'd be all of our 55-day non-UMBS, and also any 45-day that are not eligible to go into there. So if we have a jumbo security now, those would stay with Freddie. That'd be a Freddie eligible collateral. In keeping with what we said about the REMICs, for re-REMICs, anything that is 55-day but not fully backed by UMBS or TBA, or 45-day not fully backed, those would come to Freddie. If they are, if there was Freddie collateral backing it, our ARMs stay with us, and the excess servicing deals that we do stay with us. So I think if you focus on the 4 main prefixes and those 8 associated Z prefixes, if you have those, if it's 100% those, they can go to either desk. If not, go back to the original issuer.
Yeah, and then to reiterate what Bruce is saying on the right-hand side, if you're holding on to 55-day non-UMBS pass-throughs issued by Fannie Mae, you have to come to Fannie Mae to do those CMOs. Bruce can't help you there. Again, just keep in your mind, keep reiterating, this is all about those 4 major prefixes. So if you're outside of that, you still need to come back to Fannie Mae for your CMO securitization. For re-REMICs, again, all 55-day Fannie Mae issue REMIC classes at original issuance were not 100% backed by UMBS. Again, you need to bring those to Fannie Mae to re-securitize this. This is all about supporting those 4 prefixes and giving maximum flexibility and fungibility between the GSEs on those 4 prefixes. And then just for completeness here, we threw in, if you're trying to re-securitize one of our excess servicing strips, you need to bring that back to Fannie Mae if it's a Fannie excess deal, or to Bruce and Freddie Mac if it's a Freddie excess servicing deal.
We did have a discussion with the dealers, with our the REMIC desks last Thursday, and we gave them the exact same presentation here. And I think so for you that out there that deal with the trading desks, they've heard this, and it was, I think, well received, and they understood it.
And it's a lot of data, and we've tried to distill it down to the important things. Again, I keep banging the drum on, think about CL, CT, CI, and CN. Those are the UMBS prefixes. Those securities, you can come to either agency and commingle.
Yep.
Okay, there are some operational changes that come along with being able to commingle supers and REMICs. So I wanted to just spend a moment to talk about those. Right now, if you re-securitize through Freddie or Fannie, we each have our dedicated accounts at the Fed, and you get your giants or megas or REMICs back from our individual accounts. You still are going to deliver to one issuer or the other, depending on whose security you want to have issued, but Freddie and Fannie now each have 2 accounts at the Fed for delivery of collateral. So it's very important that your operations teams understand that Freddie collateral is going to a Freddie account at the Fed. Fannie collateral is going to a Freddie account at the Fed. Those are 2 different sub-accounts that need to be coded for, and that's a change from what we do now. Same thing for Fannie. Fannie, if you're doing a supers or REMICs that has commingled collateral, you are going to have 2 accounts to deliver to, one for Freddie collateral and one for Fannie collateral. And the reason we need to do that is because the Fed has to net our positions against each other. So we can't, at the end of the day, be left holding a lot of money, owing each other. We'd have to raise a lot of money to just cover those exchanges. So by having 2 accounts, it allows us to net through the Fed and make sure we can do these transactions easily and smoothly. But you need to make sure you've got those 2 accounts set up, 2 for Freddie, 2 for Fannie. One other nuance here, for whatever reason, we each have a sub-account that's labeled 2BX1. Those are not the same account. So Freddie has a 2BX1 account and Fannie has one as well. So it's really important that you make sure that's set up appropriately. One other thing, because there is a lot of detail on these slides, we are going to be making these slides available after the session. So these will be posted on our website, because I know there's a lot to see here. All right, so another thing I said we would talk about is exchanges. So if you have collateral, 45-day collateral, that you want to deliver into a supers or remix, you need to allow a little extra time. So when we initially go live with exchange, we are going to be settling T+2. So we have mentioned this to the market. We're going to have a 3 to 6 month period where we're settling T+2 just to make sure everything is running smoothly and that everyone in the market can do exchange as well. So during that period of transition, you need to allow 3 days to get your collateral for supers or remix, the 2 for exchange, and then an additional day for supers or remix collateral delivery. After we go live, or after we transition out of the early 3 to 6 month period and we go to T+1, which is what we've built exchange for, you'll still need to allow an extra day, so it'll be 2 days that you need to build into your process. That's going to be very important if you're expecting to deliver collateral into one of these transactions. We don't want to have you fail on your delivery.
Yeah, so on the last page, I just wanted to emphasize this is going to be an issue for both desks because our 45-day collateral can be exchanged into to UMBS. I mean, if it's UMBS or TBA eligible, can be exchanged and then used by either desk. This is going to require that REMIC desks start thinking about their collateral a little earlier than they used to. We're still going to, I think both desks require that you deliver your collateral 2 business days prior to REMIC settlement, which means you have to start, effectively, you have to start the exchange process 5 business days before REMIC settlement. That's going to be new for the dealers, and they're going to have to, your trading desk is going to have to think about that a little bit ahead of time to book these trades so that they can get the exchanged 55-day back that can then be delivered to Freddie or Fannie if it's UMBS, to Freddie only if it's non-UMBS. But we will be working with the REMIC desks. Both Bob and I will be working to try to bring them up to speed on this and to get them to think about their collateral a little earlier because a 5-day cycle isn't what they're used to.
That's right.
But I wanted to make sure that everybody out there is aware that this requirement legging into this is going to be something they're going to have to think about as they exchange their collateral into 55-day and use it into REMICs.
One other note, though, when you're planning your calendar, you also need to take note of what the exchange calendar is, too. So we have certain days that you can book exchanges and certain days that you can settle exchanges. So that all needs to be taken into account if you're going to be doing supers or REMICs.
So on this exchange website, on our Dealer Direct platform, the days that are available are on there. They're grayed out if they're not available. There's capacity that's on there. To those who have done REMICs, or done Giants rather, across our Dealer Direct platform, the process is very similar. You'll see a similar calendar, and the process you go through to book exchanges is very similar, so the desks should be relatively aware of how to do this, but we'll be there to help them if they have questions.
And similarly, TradeWeb will have that calendar as well. So if you're using the TradeWeb path to exchange your collateral, you'll be able to see what's available and what those settlement days and booking days available are.
And one thing I'll add is that on June 3rd, the date, all of Fannie Mae securities, the CL, CT, CNCI, automatically become UMBS. So that's why Bruce is taking this slide and talking about the exchanging, because it really applies to the Freddie securities.
And your megas become supers as well.
That's right.
To,
And the megas
some
become
degree.
supers, yeah.
Okay, I have a few questions to get us started, but we're also happy to take questions from all of you. So let me just throw one out here. Why are we limiting commingling to the TBA and UMBS collateral?
Well, I think initially, I'll start and Bruce,
Sure.
you add in there. We were directed to focus on the single security and support of the single security. So our regulator said this is where we want you to focus, and that's what we've done. So at this point in time, that's all we've worked on and all we're rolling out. I think once that this is deemed a success, I think that parties will take another look at it and see if it's just going to continue to remain just the 4 prefixes as we've discussed.
Agreed.
Nothing to add.
All right, with the UMBS collateral, are there any restrictions imposed on the collateral issued by one agency when it backs the supers or REMICs issued by another?
No, I mean, I'll let Bob speak for Fannie, but I think it's the case for both of us that everything that you can do today on the REMIC shelf is what you'll be able to do with UMBS tomorrow. There's no reduction in capabilities, and I think there's no planned new capabilities at this point either. It's just what you can do today is what you can do tomorrow. It's just that you'll have the opportunity to go to either desk for certain baskets of collateral.
So I was going to say agreed, but I'll just accentuate or enhance, emphasize. This is about more, not about less.
That's correct.
So everything you can do today, you can do, plus what we've been up here discussing.
Exactly.
So regarding the 45-day collateral, why would you put that into a REMIC?
Because we're not offering an exchange option for 45-day, we expect those to be re-REMIC'd into 45-day. If it is, again, as we said before, if it's backed by UMBS eligible collateral, you can take either of us and Bob could begin to issue 45-day along with us. We don't expect those to go into 55-day because of the dealer would be giving up 10 days of float.
Yeah.
For the 45-day pass-throughs and giants, that's up to the dealer. If they'd like to issue a 45-day new issue, they can. If they'd rather exchange that and issue a 55-day, they can.
Okay. Do we have any questions in the audience? Anybody?
A microphone is coming your way.
What about the fees? Are they going to be basically the same for Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac for the like when we choose to when we can go to either one or the other? Are the REMIC fees going to be the same across you guys?
Well, I think it's going to be a competitive environment, so the market will establish where the fees should be.
And again, there's still Fannie Mae and there's still Freddie Mac, and we're going to continue to run our businesses as it pertains to that, how we see fit. So that's a short way of saying no, there's not going to be, we're going to continue to run our business how we see fit, and Bruce will do the same for his.
Yes.
Other questions? Okay, well, I have one. Are you still going to form 45-day giants?
Yeah, so if someone brings in a 45-day giant, that giant will be mirrored, so it will then be eligible for to be exchanged into 55-day. Obviously, it's your choice if you want to exchange it, if you'd rather keep it at 45. But as Bob said, this isn't about taking away any functionality, it's just adding. The 45s are not orphaned. Every functionality that we have today for 45 will continue. It's just that you will have the ability to exchange those fixed rate 45s into 55 if you choose.
Okay.
I did want to say one thing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. If you form a new giant, there is a lag of 1 day to establish that new mirror. So the timing isn't instantaneous. You can't form the giant and exchange it on the same day. We have to work with the Fed to create that new mirrored security. So there is a little bit of lag between forming the 45 and exchanging it into a 55 if that's what they want to do. Something else to be cognizant of if that's the dealers are intending to do that for Remix, they really have to start thinking about their collateral early then.
So as part of the Single Security Initiative, I know Freddie is aligning with Fannie on the CMO remittance dates. Bob, are there any changes to the Fannie CMO program?
No, none at all. The one thing we had to do was the alignment. That was the big thing, but no changes. Our program, again, it's about more. I can't think of any change in terms of delivery dates or what you can or can't do. The only thing, again, is you can do more. You can now decide whether you want to come to Freddie Mac or Fannie Mae when you're resecuritizing your UMBS prefixes.
All right, any other questions in the audience?
We have 4 more minutes, so one more question would be great.
All right,
That might be it. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
thank you.